So my name is Michael Warr. I'm the Deputy Director here at the Museum of the African Diaspora, and I am a member. We are a contemporary arts museum with a global reach, and today's program is a wonderful illustration of why, especially San Francisco and the Bay Area, need a MOAD. We need a Museum of the African Diaspora, and we should all be MOAD members. Where else would you find and be able to participate in an event where Willie Brown, the San Francisco mayor, who made the building of the St. Regis Hotel and this museum not only possible, but made that idea become a reality? Where else would you find him introducing Belva Davis, a founding MOAD board member and the first black female television journalist in the West? And where would you find her in conversation with Guy Johnson, the author and the son of the great Maya Angelou? Thank you. If I didn't have to worry about it, I would drop the mic for emphasis. But what I've said about today's program also applies to the current exhibitions, the Dandelion, Rearticulating Black Masculine Identity, and the Grace Jones Project, that all of this applies to these exhibits as well, because you will not experience them anywhere else in San Francisco or the Bay Area. And if you have not walked through them already, I really encourage you to do so, because you won't have that opportunity for that experience anywhere else. As you know, Maya Angelou was a renowned poet, author, playwright, teacher, civil rights activist, speaker, actress, and filmmaker. And she was also really good for a quote. And one of my favorite is, "We delight in the beauty of the butterfly, but rarely admit the changes it has gone through to achieve that beauty." And as beautiful as MOAD is, I want you to remember that it's not easy being a butterfly. So we want you to keep coming back, and I'm particularly glad that you're here today. And now I want to ask you to join me enthusiastically in welcoming the man who's made this dream of this museum a reality, Mayor Willie Brown.
Let me welcome each and every one of you to MOAD. Michael is correct. It was some years ago that we had the opportunity to really take advantage of a construction project that was right next door to do what some people had dreamed about for a very long time, and that is to have a Museum of African Diaspora in and about San Francisco and the Bay Area. And I must tell you that it was frankly really fun to do, because as usual in the Bay Area, and in particular San Francisco, the confrontation between all the people who knew that they had the right idea for what should be done, the confrontation was incredible. I had the great pleasure of being able to referee the confrontation. I literally simply said, the moderator for the reality of this museum will be none other than the legendary figure who for years has had singularly the best reputation, the reputation that's untouched in any way by anything that is in fact negative. Not like most of us in the world of politics who carry with us luggage, who some people said to me one time, or are there any skeletons in your closet? And I said, absolutely not. I have a full graveyard, not skeletons. But Belva is free of all of that. And when I simply called on Belva to say, Belva, you've got to referee this incredible confrontation between all these non-productive people, and to do so, keeping them involved without letting them know how shoddy their participation really is. Belva does that better than anybody else in the world. And so when she called me to tell me about this event for tonight, it frankly was not the first reference to anything having to do with Maya. For some 3 or 4 years now, Belva and I have been going back and forth trying to figure out how to really do something in San Francisco. Obviously, I've been generous with my time and my effort, but I would not give Maya the bridge. I have that on my own. She could have something else, but not the bridge. Belva wanted her to have the bridge. And so tonight, you're going to hear from Belva about the wonderful trip that all of us are taking on, and hopefully you will join the effort after you hear tonight's program. Ladies and gentlemen, the ultimate in San Francisco integrity, Belva Davis.
I'm just standing over here for a moment because I was introduced a bit early. The star, the reason why we all cared enough to come out and be here this afternoon is because of not only an icon herself, but her success in raising another icon who is as talented, as charming, and as learned and with wit like you just wouldn't believe. And I had the pleasure of really trying hard to get Guy Johnson to agree to ascend those couple of stairs there and be here and share with you things that you don't know about Maya Angelou. The world thinks they know her, but he really knows her. So we will have a conversation just about what it was like growing up with a giant. And before we do that, though, there is this website that's called the Cage Bird Legacy website. There's one for song and there's one for other things. So we're going to be learning more about her life in music. We're going to be learning more about her life with the son that she treasured. We're going to be learning more about how we move forward in this town to have her properly recognized and remembered. That is the object of today. And we have other people who joined us in this trek. It's new. You didn't know you're already in the Army. So we signed you up when you came in the door. So we will be telling you more later on. We have a wonderful person that is to join us who's a victim right now to the Bay Bridge. I hope that he will make it and join us also, and that's Delroy Lindo. And I'm going to step aside and step up on the stage with Guy, and then other pieces of business will take place. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Sorry. My name's Elizabeth Gessel, and I'm the program manager here at the museum. And the Belva mentioned this project, the Cage Bird Legacy, and one of the products is a CD that is called Cage Bird Songs, and these are works that combine Maya Angelou's words and the music of hip-hop of the younger generation. So it's a wonderful collaboration, and we're going to show you a video of one of these songs called the Harlem Hopscotch.
Harlem Hopscotch. 1 foot down, then hop, it's hot. Good things for the ones that's got. Another jump, now to the left. Everybody for himself. In the air, now both feet down. Since you're black, don't stick around. Food is gone, rent is due. Cuss and cry, and then jump too. All the people's out of work. Hold for 3, now twist and jerk. Cross the line, they count you out. But that's what hopping's all about. Both feet flat, the game is done. They think I lost, I think I won. Harlem Hop Stop. Harlem Hop Stop. 1 foot down, then hop, it's hot. Good things for the ones that's got. Another jump, now to the left. Everybody for himself. In the air, now both feet down. Since you black, don't stick around. Food is gone, rent is due. Cuss and cry, and then jump too. All the people's out of work. Hold for 3, now twist and jerk. Cross the line, they count you out. But that's what hopping's all about. Both feet flat, the game is done. They think I lost, I think I won. That's what hopping's all about. Flat, both feet flat. The game is done. They think I lost, I think I won. They think I lost, I think I won. Harlem Hop Stop. Hop Stop. Harlem Hop Stop. Harlem Hop Stop.
You can't tell me that she is not in the here and the now. And that's the point of today. The legacy that she's left is as important to the younger faces you saw on that video as it is to us older people who knew her maybe in a different tempo. In any case, well, it's my pleasure to say that Delroy Lindo is here, and along with his wonderful and beautiful wife. Guy and I have been friends over the years because his mom and I were friends for decades. And he is here with his wife, Stephanie, and other wonderful lifelong friends. And we consider all of you friends who've answered the call to come out and be part of this today. I want to thank Elizabeth Gessel, who started us off with launching us out of here. And Guy is also a successful author. We will have 2 of his books downstairs. He'll be able to sign those for you. We hope that you'll stop there. If you like this little video, you can stop there. We'll have that downstairs too. And finally, she's going to get to the conversation. His mom is known for saying that her greatest blessing in life was the birth of her only son. We are here today to discuss the legacy that she left behind in his heart and his mind, along with the wonderful work of his son, Colin, who's been working on this project. We sometimes forget what a great person. I mean, when you read, I invite you to go to Google and read about Maya Angelou. You think you know her, but when it's all put together, you think, how could I have known somebody with that many talents? So I said to Guy, okay, so your mom has said something that is profound about you. How difficult is it to have that kind of pressure sitting out there? Maybe it's not a pressure. Maybe she raised you to be like her, like a bouncing ball.
That question is multifaceted, and I'm not sure I can answer every facet of it.
Phone? Sound? Yeah. Gotta give it another.
Yes.
Yeah.
I guess I'm going to need to project.
Project.
Good. I went to 18 schools in 3 different countries. And the reason for that is because my mother didn't really feel comfortable leaving me, and her career took many different shapes and forms. And truly the most challenging part of my mother was the fact that she didn't believe in whipping. So she would talk me to death. And you laugh. But there were many times when I thought, God, a whipping would be so much easier. Because she would phrase her questions, we would have to sit down, and I would have to look her in the eye. And she would ask me questions like, do you believe that a person who calls themselves a human being would perform this kind of action? When you're 10 or 11, you really don't know the answer to that. I could only tell her, I don't know. She says, what were you thinking? I don't know. Do you think a human being would not think? When particularly there's an issue of right and wrong. Have you no moral compass? Where are you? What are you going to be? Have you no desire in life that you're going to build upon? You guys don't really understand what it's like to have someone who walks to a drummer that nobody even hears the beat to yet. She wore African clothes and her hair natural when I was in the 5th grade. She would come to school, whether I was in a black school or a white school, and kids would stop. Because Africa in those days was bad. It was primitive. It was savage. They weren't humans. They didn't know anything. They were less. And my mother would tell me at home, she would say, kings and queens don't only come from Europe. They come from everywhere. And you have kings and queens in your history too. I would look at her and think, God, she's dumb. You see, the prevailing media at the time portrayed us as something less than human. So anyone who went back and said Africa was right, but black people on the street in the Fillmore district would stop and look at my mother. And she was 6 feet tall. But the reason they wouldn't say anything was my grandparents were thugs. People don't know that. But my grandparents carried guns. They ran little sporting houses in the San Joaquin Valley in the 30s. When they came to San Francisco, they came with money that my grandfather made from bringing alcohol up from Mexico during Prohibition. So my grandparents owned part of the Fillmore, and my grandmother had 5 brothers, plus my grandfather, and they were some tough black folks. So my mother would come out, and the family, my grandparents, were like, where did this child come from? Because my grandmother had her hair my grandparents had straight hair. My great-grandmother was half German. So in our family, well, I don't want to get into all of that. But my mother would come to school wearing African clothes. And some kid would come out and say, "Your mama from Lost Africa." And I would have to hit him. And almost nearly, they were always bigger than me. So I would come home and I would have a bloody lip and black eye. And I would think my mother's crazy because that was what the prevailing thing was at the time. My mother would say, "Well, what happened to you?" And I would say, "Don't you have a penny color-coordinated skirt sweater outfit that you could wear just once when you come to school?" She wasn't about it. As a matter of fact, when she wore her hair natural, I think there were maybe 8 black women under 100 years old wearing their hair natural. And my mother knew all of them. Odetta, Miriam Makeba. My mother knew all of them. So it was just really insane. And you don't really understand. I didn't really understand who she was until we started getting things like James Brown singing, "I'm black and I'm proud." But other than that, nobody called themselves black. Nobody. Nobody. And my mother called herself black. So when you talk about pioneers, there's the upside and the downside. Because you see, I was a victim of the media. I was a victim of the common thinking. I didn't know she had the truth. I really thought my mother was one of the strangest people. And I love my mother. Let me just tell you a story. When I was 16, we were living in New York. My mother had started working for Dr. King for the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. She headed his New York office, which meant mostly she spent time fundraising. So some black person had been shot by the police. So you know this story has history, right? And we were in a demonstration. And in those days, the mounted police used to ride down the center of the street. And that's how they broke up demonstrations. And they would ride over you. So we were out there and we were marching. And we had about 500-600 people. We were marching through Harlem, heading downtown. And the mounted police came, and you could see them. The street was cleared 3 blocks away. And people started drifting to the sidewalk, which I thought was the sane thing to do. So I said to my mom, "Come on, Mom, let's just go to the sidewalk." She looked at me and she kept walking. They got to be about a block and a half, and the group had gotten down to about 100. They got to about a half a block, and we were down to about 15 or 20 people. And I'm talking literally. People were on the sidewalk putting their placards down. I said, "Ma, you're going to get us killed." She looked at me and she said, "One person standing on the Word of God is the majority." I looked at her and I thought, she's lost it. She has absolutely lost it. We're going to be killed. We got down and the police were actually on us. There were probably 6 or 7 people still with us. Because there were so few of us, the police decided to ride through us rather than over us. As the sergeant passed, my mother pulled out a big hat pin out of her hair tie and stuck it in the sergeant's horse. The sergeant's horse neighed, the sergeant fell off, the whole thing with the brigade fell apart. I mean, literally, there was just confusion. My mother kept on walking. The people came back out into the street. We finished that march. I can't tell you, she brought tears to my eyes that day. I mean, I had never seen anybody with that kind of bravery, willing to stand up to the police in those days when they beat black people down. Yeah, she had courage, honey. And she used to say, God put it in my mouth to say, put it in my heart to do, and I will do it. Anyway, enough of that. So.
Now, continuation of that. Your mother longed for knowledge like some people long to be a billionaire or something. She read 2 to 3 books a week, I think you once told me?
Yes, from the time I was about 6 or 7 till she was 80 something.
So was there a certain kind of works that she looked for? What were her favorite things?
She read everything by everybody she thought was anybody who had anything to say. There was a bookstore in town, Marcus Books, and they were like an open door for her. They gave her books. They said, oh, here's a new poet that's come out. She knew the people in the Harlem Renaissance when I was 6, 7, 8. So I knew all of those poets because she read them to me. And what was important is that she read them to me a lot, not just once or twice, but she read almost all the freedom poems hundreds of times until I was pretty much familiar with them. But that was the key to her. She didn't have a formal education, but she was self-taught through what she read. And she used to tell me all the time, Deacon Jones, he doesn't have an education, but he's a man of standing. And education is different than training. You can go to college and get training, but to have an education means that you understand your place in the world and what the world is doing. So she used to make a big differentiation about that, quite a bit.
She had a fascination with Shakespeare too, didn't she?
Yes, she did. And knew 5 or 6 of his sonnets. I even have a couple here. She would go from Paul Laurence Dunbar, written in like Little Brown Baby with Sparkling Eyes, most of you know that one, and go to Shakespeare, go to Edgar Allan Poe, go to from Paul Laurence Dunbar to County Cullen. All of these things made her rich. I used to think that she had a wonderful talent for naming her books, but she named her books after things that touched her. So I know why the Caged Bird Sings comes right out of Sympathy from Paul Laurence Dunbar. Heart of a Woman comes from Georgia Douglas Johnson. She took what people gave and built upon it. And that's what knowledge is. Once you ingest it and you make it yours, you can build upon it and build something far beyond what you ever had any vision of. And that's what makes her so marvelous, is that she wanted to reach out and touch people and awaken in them the love of knowledge.
You had something you wanted to share with us of her readings, or maybe not her readings, I'm not sure. Maybe they're your own. You're a fine writer yourself.
Well, I wonder about Mr. Delroy Lindo and when he was going to read. I know he has to catch a plane, and I'm concerned about that.
He's here. He'll hear you. You'll skip that one if you're duplicating. Read what you like, Guy.
Oh, well, if I may, my mother liked reading poems about freedom to me mostly. But one of her favorite was County Cullen. I hope you're familiar with this poem. It's called Yet Do I Marvel. I doubt not God is good, well-meaning, kind, and did he stoop to quibble could tell why the little buried mole continues blind, why flesh that mirrors him must someday die. Make plain the reason tortured Tantalus is baited by the fickle fruit. Declare if merely brute caprice dooms Sisyphus to struggle up a never-ending stair. Inscrutable his ways are, and immune to catechism by a mind too strewn with petty cares to slightly understand what awful brain compels his awful hand. Yet do I marvel this curious thing, to make a poet black and then bid him sing. For me, Steph, may I have a Kleenex, please? My wife will tell me in a minute, oh, you're leaning. Your nose is running. And I'm thankful. For me, this poem opened up a couple of doors because I didn't know who tortured Tantalus was. You know? I didn't know who Sisyphus was. And so for me, this opened up the door for more reading. And she explained this poem to me, even though she read it to me when I must have been 8 or 9 the first time. And she talked about the complexity of life. And that what the poet was talking about is putting a weight on a people with oppression and then bid them sing, write poetry, write something light. Understand this complexity, because this is part of the difficulty that you will have, that you must reach for the higher ground despite the weight of oppression upon you. Touch the light. Go for the higher ground. And that's what this poem is about, the complexity of being human. And so, you know, and that was a number of lessons which I've probably failed to internalize. But shall I read another one? I mean, I don't know how we are with this.
Yes.
So I just picked out a few of the ones that, so are you familiar with Claude McKay? Okay, well, this was a very big one in our house because, you see, when Malcolm X came into our life and came into our thinking, and he was talking about fighting back and all of that. For me, I had no history that black people had fought back. There was nothing in my history books. I had no concept of that. So my mother pulled out this poem and said, this was written right after the Tulsa riots in 1921, 22. And it's called If We Must Die. If we must die, let it not be like hogs, hunted and pinned in an inglorious spot, while round us bark the mad and hungry dogs, making mock of our accursed lot. If we must die, oh, let us nobly die, so that our precious blood may not be shed in vain. Then even the monsters we defy shall be constrained to honor us, though dead. O kinsmen, we must meet the common foe. Though far outnumbered, let us show us brave, and for their 1,000 blows deal one death blow. What though before us lies the open grave? Like men, we'll face the murderous, cowardly pack, pressed to the wall, dying but fighting back. And you see, for me, a young black boy, this was crucial in part of understanding that we too had pride. We too fought back. Because in those days, there was no shaft. You get me? There was nobody standing up, speaking with a backbone. It was in this poetry that I began to see it. It was in our work that I began to see that we were not just someone else's fantasy, that we were human. And so this is a crucial element in my growing up. And her poetry wasn't constrained to black people. And by the way, if you see me leaning to the right, do one of these things. What happens is when you're sort of losing control of your body, it belongs to someone else. It belongs to gravity. And it takes more conscious effort to do the things that come natural when you have full control. All right? Anyway, this is The Conscientious Objector, and it's written by Edna St. Vincent Millay. I shall die, but that is all I shall do for death. I hear him leading his horse out of the stall. I hear the clatter on the barn floor. He is in haste. He has business in Cuba, business in the Balkans, many calls to make this morning. But I will not hold the bridle while he cinches the girth, and he may mount by himself. I will not give him a leg up, though he flick my shoulders with his whip. I will not tell him which way the fox ran, with his hoof on my breast. I will not tell him where the black boy hides in the swamp. I shall die, but that is all I shall do for death. I am not on his payroll. I will not tell him the whereabouts of my friends nor my enemies either. Though he promised me much, I shall not map him the route to any man's door. And am I a spy in the land of the living that I should deliver men to death? Brother, the passwords and the plans of our city are safe with me. Never through me shall you be overcome. You'll pardon me because reading these poems brings back the memories of my mother reading them to me and explaining them to me, what they mean in terms of human dignity, in terms of human spirit. Okay, so let me switch to another type of poem. I don't know if you came here for this.
We came here to hear you.
Okay. This is a love poem. And it's written by William Shakespeare. And she would, when things would not go well for her, she would use this opening line quite a bit. When in disgrace with fortune and men's eyes, I all alone beweep my outcast state, and trouble a deaf heaven with my bootless cries, and look upon myself and curse my fate, wishing me like one more rich in hope, featured like him, and like him with friends possessed, desiring that man's art and this man's scope, with what I most enjoy contented least. Yet in these thoughts myself almost despising, haply I think on thee, and then my state like the lark at the break of day arising, from sullen earth sings hymns at heaven's gate. For thy sweet love remembered such wealth brings, that then I scorn to change my state with kings. That's love now.
Well, you not only had your mother's love for the poets, but you had her love for the giants of her time, too. She had a wonderful relationship with both Malcolm X and also with Muhammad Ali. And if I remember correctly in our conversation, you told me there was once they were together on a visit?
When we lived in Ghana, the first time Muhammad Ali and Malcolm X met after Muhammad Ali left the church of Elijah Muhammad was at my mother's house. And my mother, when we went to Ghana, didn't fry chicken. And the reason that she gave for that was, one, she had to do it on these premises. Very few people had stoves. They had wood-burning stoves. But when it's 95 degrees and the humidity is like a sauna, it doesn't make you want to fry chicken. Well, when she heard that Malcolm X and Muhammad Ali were going to come to our house, I was 17 or 18. Muhammad Ali was 21. And Malcolm had just come back from Mecca. And he had seen that Islam wasn't about race, that there were Asians, there were blacks, there were Europeans, there were all sorts of people who came to Mecca for the Hajjira. So he had a whole different attitude. So my mother set out, she cooked 5 chickens. And you know, that looked like a lot of food. Potato salad, the whole thing. But when all those black men appeared, that did not look like a lot of chicken. I hate to tell you this, but I had to fight for the chicken breast, Malcolm X and Muhammad Ali. And you see, my family had the thing, you know, when guests come, family hold back. Mm-hmm. Well, my mother hadn't cooked fried chicken in 6 months. It was terrible. No. I didn't. But I got some good stories out of it. Muhammad Ali came up to me and he said, "Boy, you almost as pretty as me." We only had a short time with with Muhammad Ali, but we had more time with Malcolm. Malcolm was there for about a week. And truthfully, the difference between Malcolm and Dr. King, I could feel Dr. King's presence when he came in the room. Literally, he brought something else in with him. I don't know what. I was 16, so I can't really tell you what that was, but I felt him. Malcolm touched my mind. I would ask him a question, and he didn't pass over it. He took it, and he made it a lesson. He made it an awareness. Man. So when I lost Martin and Malcolm, I mean, when we lost them, they were my heroes. I never cried for somebody dying before. They were my heroes. They touched me. Not only with their message, but with the style and manner of their lives. They were something.
You talked about moving and going to 18 schools, I guess, in your lifetime. Your mother, as she traveled, also fell in love with language. And she prided herself on understanding languages of people around the world. I mean, she was so phenomenal. How did you know what even to concentrate on in terms of learning from her?
Well, first off, it's a really good ear. You listen to what people are saying and the pronunciation. And then you put yourself out there. I mean, even though she didn't speak the language, she would speak as much as she knew, and then she would say, well, what's this word? What's that word? How do I say this? That's how she learned. I mean, literally. She would start talking. I'm just trying to remember what's the strangest thing that we did. I guess it was in Germany, and my mother had no German. But she used to say, ich weiß nicht, which means I don't know. And then she would say that, and then she would find someone who would speak some part of German and then learn from them. And it was through my mother that I learned that Wiener Schnitzel is not about hot dogs. It's actually a veal cutlet. You know, so the place that calls themselves Wiener Schnitzel, they got it wrong. They got it wrong. Anyway.
She also had a great relationship with other writers and poets. I mean, my last interview with her, she talked about James Baldwin, very heartfelt. And I don't know who else she had that much respect for. Maybe there were lots of people, but that one she vocalized her affection.
Well, but there were a lot of people in the Harlem Writers Guild. And there was Paul Marshall. I mean, John O'Killens wasn't part of it, but John O'Killens, there was Louise Merriweather, Rosa Guy, also Julian Mayfield. There were just amazing people all around her all the time. And of course, she was friends with well, I heard stories about Roots before the book came out. My mother would come home and say, they gave him an advance 5 years ago, and he hasn't turned in anything yet. But when he finished the book, it was truly amazing because I had heard various parts of it as it was being done. Speaking of hearing various parts of things, Sketches of Spain. My mother was friends with Max Roach. As a matter of fact, very close friends with Max Roach and Abby Lincoln. And I would go over with Max to Miles Davis's house and sit down in the basement where they were smoking, and they were working on a piece of music that I thought was fantastic. And when the album came out, I realized that I had heard almost all of it down in the basement. It was Sketches of Spain. And I had never heard jazz being played in a bar before until Sketches of Spain. I mean, that record took off like mad. I mean, but to be part of that creative energy and all of that, my mother kept me around that so that we knew all the actors that you can think of who were the older crowd. Ruby Dee, Ossie Davis, Sidney Poitier, Harry Belafonte, Roscoe Lee Brown, Godfrey Cambridge. They were all around all the time. And that kind of synergy is just amazing. It's truly amazing. I once went to a diner with my mother in the village, And it was over on the east side, and in those days, the east side was mostly white and not a lot of black people over there. So we went into this diner, and I went in with them. And we were there for about 10 minutes, and they were talking. And I was just sort of, in that daydream that adolescents are in. I guess I was about 15 or so, and I wasn't thinking. And suddenly I saw Godfrey Cambridge walk around the counter and put on an apron. And the woman who was working behind there said, "Well, what are you doing?" He said, "I noticed you were busy. Let me just fix this. We only want a couple of eggs."
Guy, I know that there's so much that you have to share. We didn't even get to music. Your mother, the first time I heard her country western album, I thought that was it, until I heard her hip-hop album, and then I knew that has to be getting close to the edge. I'm going to ask you if there are some favorite things you want to share with us, and I'll leave a little time for two people that have some special words to say to you coming up before we do what unions make us do, which is good, I love them, but there's a time when this building has to close.
For a minute there, I was wondering what kind of union we were talking about.
The kind that gets you overtime. But share with us if there's something there that you really feel.
Well, one of the things about my mother was, she said, good music comes in every form. It's up to you to learn to appreciate it. There is no one kind of music. And so when rap came out, I was surprised that she had rap albums. And when I when I asked her about it, she said, this is the oldest form of performance. You have to understand that in 1200, paper was tremendously expensive. So the common man, if they were going to get something or have a myth or a folklore, it was going to be in rhyme because that was the easiest to remember. And then, of course, they would have a certain cadence to it. And so they would tell the story, and it would all be in rhyme. And this is all over the world. All over the world, which is why they rap in Polish, in Chinese, in every language, because it is the oldest form of performance. So when rap artists brought that back, they were merely hearkening back to our history. So my mother had a great deal of respect for it. She didn't like the vulgarity, and she didn't like misogynistic stuff, anything putting down women. That was not her stuff. But any other, she liked. So when Will Smith came out with Parents Just Don't Understand, my mother called. She said, "Have you heard this?" She said, "Oh yeah, this is a good one." And so of course my son had already played it at top volume. But yeah, she called me about that one. She said, "Oh yeah, I like that." All right.
Well, I'm going to pause for a young rap artist who wants to show his appreciation for you and your mom and the joy that you brought. And Elizabeth will tell us who that is.
Hi again, everyone. So when Belva and I first started talking about this program, we thought it would be really wonderful to bring a young artist in to make a connection between Maya Angelou's work and this young artist's work. But Belva and I looked at each other and thought, how do we find that person? But luckily, we have young people working at MOAD. And so I enlisted the help of some of my younger colleagues. And we were able to find somebody that I think is really quite an amazing fit for this program. And I feel really honored to have him here to participate in it. So I want to introduce to you Bay Area-based artist Dicasso. He is a member of the group Living Legends, and he also does solo projects, and he is here today to honor the legacy of Dr. Maya Angelou with us. Thank you.
Is this on? Well, thank you for calling me young. I mean, I was in 7th grade when I heard parents just don't understand. So it was working for me too. And I got my salt and pepper coming in. Yeah, I'm a child of the hip hop generation. And I wrote a little something this morning, and I brought a friend with me. And I hope you all appreciate this moment, because this is much more than I even could have expected. But, you know, this is about Black excellence and greatness, so we will celebrate. Say Maya. Say Maya. Everybody say Maya. Maya. This is one of mine. Just waking up in the daytime, no playtime. Gotta get it moving, keep it proving what I say. I'm real living proof in this. Put in tight etiquette, carrying my wallet with my mouth so we can benefit. I put my soul in this word, spit a lot of it. Chewing at the white flame that burns while I'm writing this. Night vision, lightning, my forecast rain. More people gotta die before they feel what I'm saying. Maya. Maya. Black legacy, Black excellence, a pillar of shining light, of literature, of vocabulary, of presentation, of pronunciation, of etiquette, of quality, the most highest echelon, honorary to presidents. Honestly, something that was out of my league in 7th grade, 8th grade. What's that other bass line there? Was it a tambourine over here somewhere? Just trying to bring the spirit through. You know, it's an honor. It's an honor to bring the spirit in like this. This one I wrote down, so I'm gonna read it, but we'll see how it goes. Technology makes it all possible. Spanish, she the oracle. Push it back, black as the soil. Red clay from Arkansas to where we at, these golden gates of the bay. Dialectical canon, recording records and dancing. A poet laureate poured it on thick. We understanding it. Dreams that spurred inspired songs of cage bird. Probably we never know our legacy till we hear our voices heard. Raspy and righteous, pass me the torch to light this. Keep it revealed, revel the mystic cotton field, our collective memory banks. We be the work. What actions we be giving the thanks. Sitting in solitude, writing this, I feel the ranks. My freedom knows the glory of the elders telling the story. Still feeling the angst. I'm walking on razor's edge, but only solely to push our people ahead. And listening what she said is true. And still I rise. I'm singing these blues, and still I rise. Looking down, I got on my traveling shoes, a child of God, and I shall not be moved. Said I shall not be moved. Realize the heart of a woman, Miss Maya Angelou. Say what? And still I rise when I'm sitting singing these blues. I'm looking down, I got on my traveling shoes, a child of God, and I shall not be moved. The heart of a woman, who? The heart of a woman, who? The heart of a woman, who? Miss Maya Angelou, huh? Say Maya. Say Maya. Black excellence, shining from the beacon of light, making it possible for us to write, for us to believe, to recite, to continue on the legacy, to continue on the work, and know that hip-hop came from the soil, it came from the soul, and it will not only stay in its sedentary state, but continue to elevate, continue to vibrate. It is what we make it, right? Thank y'all, that's our time. I love it.
Wow.
Thank you.
Fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. Take advantage while I can. You know, this day for me is magical. I don't know what it is for you. You sort of put an idea out. You don't know whether it will be received kindly or not. But I can tell you this is a special day in my life. To be here with Guy, to be here with you, to have your talent come through. So thanks a lot. And oh, you have something?
Yeah.
Yes.
This piece of visual art that I did in 2014 with Miss Angelou's transition, I wanted to present to Guy, and it's just amazing that this opportunity is presenting itself. So I do visual art as well. This is a technique that was taught to me from an artist that I value and respect and I think very highly of. His name is Kevin Conte. Does a lot of good work in the East Oakland, East Bay. But this is a photo transfer on wood, and it's a print of that. And so I wanted to present this to Mr. Johnson.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Look, I'd only do this to a real professional. Now I'm going to ask Delroy, who volunteered his time and efforts to be here with us today, to come up and take part in this, I don't know, wonderful ceremony. Delroy?
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sure.
So now you already know who's up here, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about him in case you don't know. We have with us Delroy Lindo. He is an actor who has played both good guys and bad guys in his 3-decade career in film, theater, and television. He's born in London, England, to Jamaican parents. Delroy Lindo has established himself as a versatile and hardworking actor over a 3-decade career. From an August Wilson play to several Spike Lee films, he has portrayed drug dealers, FBI agents, thieves, an angel, a corrupt politician, and baseball legend Satchel Paige. We couldn't be more honored to have the tremendously talented Delroy Lindo here with us today.
Thank you. Can you all hear me? Okay. This mic? This mic, okay. So with regard to my 3-decade-long career, I should just say I started when I was 2. So let's just, establish that. I was a little late this afternoon, so if what I'm about to say is a repeat of something that's been said, forgive me. But in the context of the passing of the icons Prince and Muhammad Ali, my coming here this afternoon, I was thinking about, what... All right. I was thinking about what makes an icon, what causes artists to be able to transcend their time and affect us in the way that Prince, Muhammad Ali, and Maya Angelou have affected us. And part of what occurred to me, they not only plug into the zeitgeist of whatever community, but they transcend that. And so they start to then inform that zeitgeist. And if there is something called the zeitgeist of the soul, I'd like to feel and say that Miss Maya Angelou was very much a part of a tradition informing and affecting the zeitgeist of the soul. And so I have a few pieces that I'd like to share. The first piece, present company not included, is called Willie. Present company not included, but it's called Willie. Willie was a man without fame. Hardly anybody knew his name. Crippled, limping, always walking lame. He said, I keep on moving, moving just the same. Solitude was the climate in his head. Emptiness was the partner in his bed. Pain echoed in the steps of his tread. He said, I keep on following where the leaders led. I may cry and I will die, but my spirit is the soul of every spring. Watch for me and you will see that I'm present in the songs that children sing. People called him uncle, boy, hey. Said, you can't live through this another day. Then they waited to hear what he would say. He said, I'm living in the games the children play. You may enter my sleep, people my dreams, threaten my early morning's ease, but I keep coming, following, laughing, crying, sure as the summer breeze. Wait for me, watch for me. My spirit is the surge of open seas. Look for me, ask for me. I'm the rustle in the autumn leaves. When the sun rises, I am time. When the children sing, I am the rhyme. Willie. This next piece is called One More Round. There ain't no pay beneath the sun as sweet as rest when a job's well done. I was born to work up to my grave, but I was not born to be a slave. One more round, let's heave it down. One more round, let's heave it down. Papa drove steel, Mama stood guard. I never heard them holler because the work was hard. They were born to work up to their graves, but they were not born to be worked out slaves. One more round, let's heave it down. One more round, let's heave it down. Brothers and sisters know the daily grind. It was not labor made them lose their minds. They were born to work up to their graves, but they were not born to be worked out slaves. One more round, let's heave it down. One more round, let's heave it down. And now I'll tell you my golden rule. I was born to work, but I ain't no mule. I was born to work up to my grave, but I was not born to be a slave. One more round, let's heave it down. One more round, let's heave it down. So I have two poems that I selected. I have two poems left. One is called something you may have heard of. It's called Still I Rise. And there's another one. But in the interest of time, I feel like I should only do one. No. Okay, so I'll do both. Still I Rise. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you so beset with gloom? 'Cause I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living room. Just like moons and like suns, with the certainty of tides, just like hopes springing high, still I'll rise. Did you want to see me broken? Bowed head, lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries. Does my haughtiness offend you? Don't you take it awful hard, 'cause I laugh like I've got gold mines digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words. You may cut me with your eyes. You may kill me with your hatefulness, but still, like air, I'll rise. Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise that I dance like I've got diamonds at the meeting of my thighs? Out of the huts of history's shame, I rise. Up from a past that's rooted in pain, I rise. I'm a black ocean, leaping and wide, welling and swelling, I bear in the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise. Into a daybreak that's wondrously clear, I rise. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave. I am the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise. I rise. I rise. This last piece is called Ain't That Bad. And is there anybody in the room who does not know what the funky chicken?
Do it for us. Thank you, Delroy.
Dancing the funky chicken, eating ribs and tips, digging all the latest sounds and drinking gin in sips. Putting down that do-rag, tightening up my fro. wrapping up in blackness, don't I shine and glow? Hearing Stevie Wonder cooking beans and rice, going to the opera, checking out Leontine Price. Get down, Jesse Jackson. Dance on, Alvin Ailey. Talk, Miss Barbara Jordan. Groove, Miss Pearl Bailey. Now ain't they bad? And ain't they black? And ain't they black? And ain't they bad? And ain't they black? And ain't they fine? Black like the hour of the night when your love turns and wriggles and close to your side. Black as the earth which has given birth to nations and when all else is gone will abide. Bad as the storm that leaps, raging from the heavens, bringing the welcome rain. Bad as the sun, burning orange, hot at midday, lifting the waters again. Arthur Ashe on the tennis court. Muhammad Ali in the ring. Andre Watts and Andrew Young, black men doing their thing. Dressing in purple rain, and pinks and greens. Exotic as rum and cokes, living our lives with flash and style. Ain't we colorful folk? Now ain't we bad? Ain't we black? And ain't we black? And ain't we bad? Ain't we bad? Ain't we black? And ain't we fine? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for taking time. Thank you. Are we finished, or do I have time to read a poem?
No, you can read the last poem. You want to read it?
Yes, I want to.
All right, we're just sort of writing the script as we go along here. We do have a time to be out of here, but you won't mind. You'll only miss eating. My son only worked half the afternoon preparing food for you, but that's okay too. We're going to do it all right here, right now. She just gave me a few more minutes, guys, so go to it.
Right. What I'd like to do is read a poem of mine just to show you that there is some link. There is some link between my mother and I. We don't write alike, but the love of words is the same. So I'd like to read a piece called Bittersweet Darkness. Bittersweet darkness, come to me. Don't turn away, come to me. I know I've let the hearth fires burn down low, and the bread is stale upon the table. I've come to explain my twisted madness, why I ran to the streets away from your love. I was running from myself and your anger. I was crazed by the faceless jailer's rules. I felt 400 years of inertia pressing my face to the bulletproof glass. I was confined in a transparent hell, and anger was its common language. Sometimes I merely needed a street corner to see myself in the eyes of other men who, because they were likewise imprisoned, could not stare down at me from heights above. Shackled to an image that was not mine, I succumbed to the nameless, hopeless life of being someone else's fantasy, used and using, sensation without touch. The chains which hindered my spreading arms were linked to the weight of my ignorance. I had to dig below the color of my skin to finally discover I too was a king. Though I oversee no realm or kingdom but that which lies in my battered heart, the royalty is in my stride and the stride of my walk, because my unquenched spirit is still strong. Oh, my ochre, amber, redwood one, sweet sateen pastels on a female skin, claim the dark, rich clay of this Songhai man with the touch of your black velvet hand. Bittersweet darkness, come to me. Don't turn away, come to me. Hip-hop walking, blue-black, and twilight slick. I am your wandering African king.
Well,
I know
thank you. That's all
wants
I
to
can
run
say.
me out.
No. Look, I have to introduce two strong women down front here. One of them's last name is Johnson, the other one's last name is Lindo. Nashime Lindo and Stephanie Johnson. Stand up, ladies, stand up. And I got to tell you that I got two of my best buddies and a big supporter over here. Barbara Rogers is here, Pam Moore is here. And I cannot believe it. Willie Brown is still here. I'm going to have Elizabeth have the last word as we think about going down for refreshments downstairs. You have to eat fast, but that's okay. It was worth it, was it not?
Well, first, is the mic? Hello? Great. First, I want to thank Belva Davis, who championed this program and put a lot of her time and soul into it. Thank you so much, Belva. And I also, of course, want to thank Guy Johnson for sharing your amazing memories. I feel like we could all stay here for a few more hours listening to you talk. Thank you very much. And thank you all for joining us today. You do have a visitor survey on your chair and a little pencil that's been rolling around making noise probably. If you could take a moment to fill that out, I would really appreciate it. We're blessed to have a reception downstairs following. Belva mentioned her son, Stephen Davis of Emerald Catering, has provided the food for us, so we're very grateful to him as well. And we are selling 2 books, Rainbow in the Clouds and Standing at the Scratch Line. Yes, as well as the CD, Caged Bird Songs. And 2 more prints left. And Dicasso has 2 of his prints, if you are interested in talking to him about that. So thank you all for coming, and join us downstairs.